Louisville football ended a 2-game losing streak. Louisville football went on the road in the ACC for the first time in 2024 and needed to come back to do it, defeating Virginia 24-20. Cardinals now 4-2 overall, 2-1 in the ACC. The victory allows the Cardinals to really control their own destiny still. Big game coming up against Miami this coming weekend. Before that, we got to dish out a report card. What do you say we hike about it? We're at Morgan Conservation Park. It's in Oldham County, Kentucky. It's about 45 minutes east of downtown Louisville. It's about 15 minutes from LaGrange, Kentucky. It's a great little spot for a nice little hike. 252 acres. It's a former family farm. Cattle, tobacco, by the Morgan family, thus Morgan Conservation Park. Let's check it out. What's something that we liked from Louisville's 24-20 win over the Cavaliers? Captain Obvious, we like the W. Beyond that, what led to the W? Well, you got to start with the true freshman running back, Isaac Brown. I mean, broken record, and it's a great record to hit. Just keep skipping and keep breaking and just doing it over and over and over again. 6th game of his college career, he set a new career high with 146 yards rushing. It's the 3rd time he's eclipsed the century mark on the ground. Really like that. Clearly consistent, clearly a challenge for any defense that so far Louisville can face to slow him down. Heck of an outing. We'll get to him a little bit more during the report card and the running backs, but certainly the 247 Sports True Freshman of the Week is Isaac Brown. Like that a lot. Here's something I didn't like. It's something I didn't expect, even though I probably should have, because it seems to be becoming a consistent theme. But I didn't expect it because I thought things that the team was going to work on, things that the coaches were going to work on would correct this. And it may have been corrected throughout the game if Virginia only scored 20 points. But what I didn't like was that hot start. The Cavaliers becoming the 3rd straight team to score a touchdown on the opening drive against the Louisville defense. Mobile quarterback Anthony Calandria was a headache. Accounted for 31 yards rushing on 2 rushes on that drive. It's like, if you were like me, it's like, what were we working on? Anthony Calandria ended up rushing for 83 yards, threw for 279, something in that neighborhood. Had another quarterback with a nice outing against the Louisville defense, but certainly, to be more specific, really did not like to see for a 3rd straight game an opponent drive down the field 75 yards and score a touchdown to take a 7-0 lead on their first opening series. Don't like that at all. Trend needs to stop. Something else I liked. We heard from Jeff Brom immediately following the loss to SMU that the staff, as they were pointing the finger at themselves, needed to make some changes. Look at the schemes, the plans, things like that, to put their players in a better position to succeed and succeed often. One thing that I did like was seeing that defensive coordinator Ron English, normally up in the booth, was down on the field to help direct the offense. Certainly a move to help improve communication for the Louisville defense, which again didn't like the hot start, but they did improve again as the game wore on. So that's something I like, seeing a notable change, bringing defensive coordinator Ron English down from the booth and onto the sideline. I like that. Something else I liked. Again, after the SMU loss at home, Jeff Brom was pretty pointed in putting the blame on his shoulders and the shoulders of his coaching staff, basically saying, we got to fix this. And I think it's fair to say that following the 24-20 win, the win is all that matters in the end. But it wasn't the prettiest of games, and there are things that still need some attention that need to be fixed. What I like was, as much as Jeff Brom laid into himself and his coaching staff after SMU, he applauded them for their efforts in the week to improve their coaching, their communicating with the players, etc., etc., etc. Still acknowledging that progress needs to be made, while also acknowledging that progress is being made. Yeah, I like the post-game approach of Jeff Brom to, sure, it wasn't the best performance, but let's applaud those coaches, players, for making notable changes, making the efforts to improve in areas where Louisville just keeps shooting itself in the foot. So I like that, but it's a process that needs to continue, for sure. Those are a few things I like, a couple things I dislike. More of both will certainly surface as I go through the report card. So what do you say we do that? Let's get to the report card for Louisville's performance in their 24-20 win over Virginia. That's kind of a steep hill to climb. So what do you say before we do that? We do the quarterbacks. Tyler Shough's performance against Virginia, certainly a vital one. He displayed his leadership. It was his lowest completion percentage of the season thus far at 58%. Completing 18 of 31 of his throws for 231 yards, a touchdown and an interception. He spread it around to multiple receivers. His favorite target again being Jamari Brooks, but he did work it around to different guys. Led the game-winning drive late in the game and connected with tight end Jamari Johnson for the 5-yard touchdown throw. The quarterback's performance against Virginia, A-. Running backs. Isaac Brown. I mean, if we're handing out grades, the true freshman is 247 Sports True Freshman of the Week. See that at cardinalauthority.com. Third game into his 6 games of his college career. He's got another 300-yard game. This time another career high, 146 yards, averaged 7.3 yards per carry. Within all of that was two rushing touchdowns. And I know there were many throughout the ball game saying, just give it to Isaac, just give it to Isaac, just give it to Isaac, over and over me, because it seemed like almost every single time he touched the ball, you got the yards you needed and then some. Jeff Brom, very complimentary of him after the game, as you would expect. Said he got a little dinged up, so they're not sure where he is at that point, but Isaac Brown came in the post game shortly after. I'm good, is what he said. Yeah. We also saw Duke Watson a little bit. But really, the spotlight for the running backs on this one, because he was the feature back and got the bulk of the carries and was a beast doing so. Isaac Brown, A+. Louisville played another game, and once again, win or lose, Jamari Brooks is good for at least one impressive highlight reel catch, and he did so again. Jamari Brooks led Louisville with 5 receptions. Colin Lacey had 4 receptions. Chris Bell got involved, had 58 yards. Chris Bell also got involved in ways you didn't want him to get involved and hurt Louisville negatively a couple times. Can't have that. Have to take that into consideration in the grade. That's kind of like told to be quiet in class, and if you're like Michael McCammon in middle school, maybe even into some high school, you nod at the suggestion, and a couple minutes later you're yapping away. It's kind of like that. But this one drew 15-yard penalty flags. I might have gotten sent to the assistant principal's office.
But in this day and age, a 15-yard penalty is a lot more painful than going to the assistant principal's office. And check this out. We got to go investigate this. The first overall grade for the wide receivers against Virginia, B+.
Tight ends getting a little bit more involved, especially late in the ball game. Mark Redmond got two receptions for 19 yards. Jamari Johnson, 2 receptions for 19 yards. Jamari Johnson's were each catch is a big catch. Jamari Johnson certainly had a spotlight on him. 13-yard catch, 14-yard catch to help get Louisville a needed first down deep in Virginia territory, and then the 5-yard touchdown reception. Finds himself free as he's crossing the back of the end zone. Great move by Jamari Johnson. Ton of talent. Really looking forward to seeing him continue to grow up in this Louisville offense and become even more involved. True weapon he appears to be. Did a great job in the blocking game as well. For the tight ends in this game, I would still like to see them getting more involved, but that's not necessarily your fault. Can't dock you for that. Tight ends in this game, A. Offensive line. It's been a tough couple weeks for the offensive line, so you got to give him credit. Tyler Shough was not hit nor chased as much as he has been the last couple weeks, but he was hit. He was chased. Tyler was sacked twice in the game, pressured a number of other times, but the offensive line did help the Cardinals march down the field in that last series and help them get that game-winning touchdown. You got to give them credit for that. You got to They got to get some of the credit for Isaac Brown's big day on the ground as well for his 146 yards rushing. They certainly helped produce that as well. Michael Gonzalez, grade out of 75, the best amongst offensive linemen, one of the best offensive grades for the team in the game against Virginia. The rest of the starters down in the 50s. Rasheed Miller, who split time about almost 50-50 at left tackle. He was next best grade in the 60s. So an improvement for the Louisville offensive line this week. This time, they're going to get a B-. The defensive line improved. Not a great opening series, that's for sure, but improved. As mentioned, Anthony Calandria rushed for 84 yards. Their dual threat quarterback threw for 279 yards. I'm not trying to toss it all on the shoulders of the defensive line. They did get some pressure. Over the last 3 games heading into the Virginia game, they had just 1 sack. You're not going to win many games like that. Against the Cavaliers, they were able to get to Calandria 3 times. Good to see Ashton Gelati get his second of the year. He also had 2 quarterback hurries as well, 3 total tackles on the afternoon. So nice, great out day for Ashton Gelati as well. So the defensive line, it's a group that seems to strengthen and did so without Renee Conga, without Tramel Logan, both of them watching from the sidelines. And you throw that into consideration, and you really have to like what the defensive line did, facing the injuries that they faced and the performance that they were able to do, especially late, getting some helping get the defense get some key stops so that offense could get in position to get the late score that proved to be the game winner. Their performance against Virginia, the defensive line, gets a B. Linebackers, I would say improved. Stanquan Clark with a huge tackle for a loss. He continues to shine, continues to grow up. I don't know if grow up really is the right description, but continues to develop and become even more of a presence, an impact player for the Louisville defense. That's probably better. He was again the star of the Louisville linebackers. You got to again shoulder some of the blame for some of those big runs from Anthony Calandria, but again that kind of tightened up a little bit. The performance in the win over Virginia, the linebackers, B-. Defensive backs, let's see. Anthony Calandria threw for 279 yards, threw about 45 attempts, completed 56, 58, somewhere in there, % of them. I think Corey Thornton and Tamarian McDonald are starting to put together some pretty solid seasons for the Cardinals. Tayon Holloway went for a big gamble. Fortunately got burned a little bit on that. It was good to see Quincy Riley back on the field. Didn't get the start, but he was on the field. Had a nice pass breakup. Other than that, he didn't appear to be fully himself as of yet, coming off of his high ankle sprain. The defensive backs for their performance against Virginia, B-. It's
a little windy through here. That might mess up a kickoff or a punt. Special teams. Punting averaged about 46 yards per against Virginia. Amari Huggins-Bruce, though, was -7 yards on his punt returns. Isaac Brown did well on his kickoff returns. Brock Travelstead was 1 or 2 for field goals. Overall, special teams, C+.
Coaching staff got a C last week, nearly a C-. Nobody from head coach Jeff Rahm on down was happy with the performance of the team last 2 weeks, but even more so against SMU in that costly home loss. It seemed like the emphasis for much of the week was to be, hey, we need to fix ourselves. So going into the performance against Virginia, notable change, as I mentioned, and the things that I like was Ron English coming down onto the field instead of being up in the booth. That's a positive. Need to improve that communication. And as you know, as bleak as it looked in that opening drive, that did not resonate throughout the game. The defense certainly improved. Offense certainly shot itself in the foot a few times. But overall improvement on both sides of the ball. Still things to improve, to fix themselves. And they got to do so quickly because, again, number 6 Miami coming into L&N Stadium. The coaching staff for the outcome. And at the end, it's all about the W's. Give you a B+. Overall grades, offensively, teetering on a B and B-, but I'm going to go with a B. Continued to hurt themselves too often with holding, false starts, personal fouls, those type of things that really are drive killers. It's been a theme. We've heard the coaches and the players talk about it. Those little miscues where they might lose focus for just a moment. Just one player, that's all it takes. You know, there's a thin margin of error. But for the performance, especially when you consider the no-quit mindset in the offense, on both sides of the ball really, but to be able to go down late in the game and get the touchdown when a loss seemed to be knocking on Louisville's door, to let's rally, let's go down, let's get that victory. Overall, against Virginia, offense, a B. Defensively, thought I saw a quarterback running by for a moment. Defensively, overall, the theme's kind of been a B-, so we're going to stick with the overall grade as a B-. You got a quarterback who threw for over 250 yards, who ran for over 80 yards. He just kind of worked their way in their opening drive like the defense was almost non-existent, again, for a third game in a row. So they did limit Virginia to 20 points, did get some big stops throughout the game, lifting that grade, improvement over recent performances. So overall, B- for the defense. Up next, it's a big one. L&N Stadium, number 6 Miami coming in Saturday, noon, ABC. That's big. It's unfortunate that it's noon. Imagine that as a night game. Miami, an early 4.5 favorite against the Cardinals, as to be expected. The Hurricanes are currently the slight favorite by the ESPN FPI to win the conference. I say slight because that's just by 1 percentage point over Clemson, which has clearly been surging since they started their season with a blowout loss to Georgia. But I digress. This weekend, Miami, Canes versus Cards, L&N Stadium, ABC. Place should be jumping even for a noon game, right? Big game. Cardinals win this, and they're very much in the talk and the discussion of potentially being one of the two teams in Charlotte in December playing for the ACC championship. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Saturday, noon, L&N Stadium. Cards, Canes. Thanks again for going hiking with Michael McCammon. Listening to me dish out my report card following Louisville's 24-20 win at Virginia. Doing it on the road against a team that was 2-0 in league play, it's a big win. No matter how pretty or ugly or in between it may have been. With the victory, as mentioned, the Cardinals still can't control their own destiny. There's still a path for them to get to the ACC championship. That path is at home. On Saturday, it's a big stop on the path as number 6 Miami comes into L&N Stadium. We'll see you there, right? That's what I thought. Again, thanks for going hiking with Michael McCammon. Until next time, I'm out.
Before you take off, give the video a like if you liked it. If you liked it a lot, go ahead and subscribe. If you just can't wait, hit that notification button and you'll get notifications right when it comes out. Appreciate you.